Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Glenn Anderson, Dean of the College of Pharmacy. And on behalf of the faculty and staff, I want to welcome everyone to the class of 2024's White Coat Ceremony. This is the fourth White Coat Ceremony that I've had the honor to host. Usually we meet at Brown Theater with about 700 people in the room. A true opportunity to enjoy one another's accomplishments and fellowship. This year, unfortunately, significant deviation has been necessitated. But we are here to celebrate the achievement of 90 students beginning a journey to become pharmacists, 90 new pharmacy members. How about a round of applause for all of you? Yeah. Well done and congratulations, welcome. You are truly all inspiring for a variety of reasons, not the least for how you've handled the COVID-19 challenges that you've had to overcome. I'm humbled by your grit and your integrity. Thank you all for your flexibility during this crisis. And thank you for your commitment to your education in our college. I'm honored to be your dean. At this time, I'd like to ask Chelsea Chelsea, and Alex Hernandez, members of the class of 2024, to lead us in the class blessing and pledge.
Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to gather here in the middle of all this chaos. You have led us here for your purpose. We ask this year and our years to come that you bless our minds, our hearts, our spirits, and our wills. May you lead us wherever you need us to go and bless our future endeavors through every step of the way. Through Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Chelsea. To guide students, educate them, and turn them into competent health professionals, we have a dedicated and outstanding staff and faculty who are with us this afternoon. Thank you, faculty and staff who were able to join us. I would also like to recognize several members of the university administration who makes our lives easier, who makes us able to provide you the education that we can. I'm not sure that Dr. Reese is with us today, but he is our Vice President for Academic Affairs, our direct supervisor for this college. And he is your strongest supporter, second only to the faculty that you have at this university. Additionally, I'd like to thank Interim President Dr. Lidoff, who could not be with us today, I don't believe, because of other engagements. But both of those individuals are strong supporters of the college. If you ever get a chance to say hello to them, please do take that opportunity. We're honored to have with us this afternoon Jeff Goday, graduate of the class of 1994, and Brooke Behringer, graduate of the class of 2020 from Walgreens Company. Jeff recently celebrated his 27th year of pharmacy practice at Walgreens. He's a member of the Louisiana Pharmacists Association and Louisiana's Pharmacy Congress. He serves on the Advisory Council for Louisiana Board of Pharmacy Prescription Monitoring Program and the Louisiana Department of Health Pharmacy. For 2020, Jeff was awarded the Louisiana Pharmacy Association of Chain Pharmacists of the Year Award. Brooke has a total of 8 years experience working for Walgreens. She has been very active with the COVID testing, both as a student intern and now as a staff pharmacist. And we've been very fortunate to have pictures of that going on over the summer months. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Brooke. Please help me welcome Jeff and Brooke to the stage.
Alrighty, so I'm going to go first. As Dean Anderson said, my name is Brooke. I just recently graduated from ULM in 2020. And so kind of what I wanted to talk to y'all about today is kind of my expectations of what I thought my job was going to be like when I graduated compared to what it looks like in this new COVID world that we live in. And so had you asked me 8 years ago when I started working in a pharmacy as a cashier, you know, what my job was going to be, I would have told you I was going to work in a community pharmacy, you know, and that was pretty much it. That's kind of what I expected. In December of this past year, Walgreens hired me, and working in their stores, kind of just getting to know their system, how things works with Walgreens. Jeff approached me and asked if I would be willing to help with the COVID-19 testing. And I was very excited about it. My mom thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was crazy because they were like, why would you want to get into the middle of all of this? But I knew it was going to be a really cool experience. And so in May, we started with the COVID testing. And I did that for about 2 months. And it was really interesting to see how, as a pharmacist, you can kind of be in that side of the care. And so my actual job at the site was to process the test. And so after the patient would swab, they would bring it to me, I'd run the test, get the results. And so it was a really cool experience. And also something to know that, you know, at the time I was an intern still, but we did have a pharmacist on site who we used her MPI to actually be able to order those lab tests. And so I think that's something that a lot of people don't really know that pharmacists can do. And so kind of what I just want to tell y'all was what you think you're going to do now may be totally different than what you're doing 4 years from now. But embrace that and be excited about it because it is really cool. The world of pharmacy is changing every single day. And so hopefully, you know, though COVID was not the best thing ever, hopefully that kind of helps pharmacy advance a little more since we're doing these tests and, you know, since we're getting into that. So that is all I had to say. Good luck to y'all. Enjoy these next 4 years because it goes by so quickly. You know, take in every minute of it, learn as much as you can. I know it's a lot of information that gets thrown at you, but you'll realize once you're done how much you actually learned, and you'll be so appreciative of all your faculty and staff. It's a great experience, and best of luck to y'all.
Must have read my speech. I can sit down now. Can you guys hear us okay? Awesome. Just click the advance it. All right, guys. First of all, congratulations and welcome to your passage into the profession of pharmacy. So we can't be more proud of you and what you've accomplished. And I'm sure out there in this new virtual world of presentations and meetings and whatnot, you've got a lot of family and friends that are certainly have been, I'm sure, very supportive of you. Helped you get here in some form or fashion. So at the end of all this, make sure and don't forget to thank them for everything that they've done for you and to position yourself here for the next 4 years. In doing so, I just a little bit about myself. Not only am I a graduate of NLU, there was no ULM many, many years ago. And there's a few folks in this room or in this building that I went to school with. But not only am I a graduate, but really a huge supporter year after year after year of our College of Pharmacy, and trying to make sure that not only my company is giving back to our future, right, but I'm doing everything I can to help position you and understanding how things are changing so rapidly, as Brooke just mentioned. But also, not only does Walgreens dollars come to support this university and this College of Pharmacy, but my own personal finances come to support this university as well. So just wanted to share, if you see her around campus, her name is Faith. She's a sophomore in pre-nursing, and she's also a member of the cheerleader team. So fingers crossed that we have football, right? I mean, the SEC is still hanging in there. The Sun Belt, I think, is still hanging in there. So anyway, it brings us up here on the weekends to be able to see her. So Brooke mentioned, you know, what a crazy 4 or 5 months, right? That that we've been dealing with this pandemic. Really a gloomy situation. Couldn't be more proud of what our company has done to really position our pharmacists to be able to be on the front lines and truly helping in our communities. And this is just a few snapshots of when we began down this road in the end of March, beginning of April, where we opened up really, our site down in New Orleans was the first COVID point of care testing site that we opened, one of the first 6 in the company. We opened it back in April, and Brooke was a big part of that. But this was right before that, where our CEO, standing at the podium right next to the president, advocacy doesn't get any bigger than that. And so remember that, advocacy. How do you advocate for, at the end of the day, your well-being as a pharmacist, right? And what that means, advocacy back into the community, doing everything we can to make sure that we're helping folks understand what we bring to the table as frontline healthcare providers. So I wanted to share that with you. We've got 112 sites now. 90 of them are point of care testing being run by our pharmacists. I just opened one in Baton Rouge last week. I'm opening up one in Shreveport next Friday. I'm opening one in Covington, Louisiana next Friday. And we'll be opening up a collection model here in Monroe on the 28th of August. So we're continuing to ramp this up because the community needs us. They need testing until we eventually get a vaccine sometime in the spring probably, right? So with this new world of COVID, wanted to take a little different angle with my speech today. And it won't be long, Mary, I promise. I won't get us off track. My speeches usually in the past have referenced just our pharmacists, you as our future pharmacists, but not only thinking of yourselves as pharmacists, but in the whole healthcare continuum, right? You are truly healthcare providers. My speeches have certainly referenced my time when I graduated in '94, and as a pharmacist, it was like, okay, I got the right pills in the right bottle, and I'm gonna go counsel this patient on maybe the potential drug interactions with their other medications and side effects. That was it. We didn't have a refrigerator stockpile full of immunizations and things of that nature, right? No, we didn't. That was it back in '94. Which leads me to other things I've referenced in the past, is how the profession is changing so rapidly. You just heard it from Brooke, right? Changing rapidly with the focus on how do we continue to expand the role that you play in the healthcare industry. Our healthcare system is broken, right? It is. The way we deliver healthcare is broken. I think, I'm sure your dean would agree with me and many others, because they don't leverage the ability of one of the biggest assets in the healthcare industry, and that's pharmacy. They try to leverage us, but they don't want to reimburse us. We'd love you to do all these services, but we're not going to pay you, right? At the end of the day, we could truly help, and we are helping to decrease the overall healthcare spend that's in the industry by what we're doing with patient care and adherence and positive patient outcomes and things of that nature. So we talk about that expansion. I probably need to take this out of my notes because I don't think it's an expansion anymore. I mean, we've been doing immunizations now for 12 years, right? So we've been there, we're doing it. We continue to expand the vaccines that we can offer, right, on almost any disease state. And no doubt we will be right in the middle of providing COVID immunizations once it's approved and manufactured in our stores. The one thing that I haven't been able to reference in my past speeches is our ability to truly do point of care testing on a huge scale in the community for coronavirus. Never been done before to this scale. And we are writing what the playbook looks like. Walgreens, not independents, not many of my cohorts with other chains who are doing some testing. No one is doing true point of care testing at the scale we're doing it right now, with the results to the patients same day to next day. That is the beauty of point of care testing and what we're doing with these Abbott Rapid ID Now tests. That's a game changer. Doesn't help to get results in 10 or 14 days. You've already been quarantined, right? You hear it all throughout the news. And the type of tests we're performing, it gets the community back to work sooner, or it gets them at home sooner, quarantined, so that we prevent the spread. Community pharmacy, you know, we've been fighting for provider status for a long time, our entire industry. But anyone know what an NPI number is? So that's our golden ticket. So as a practitioner, you will have what's called an NPI number, which is a national provider identifier that identifies you as a practitioner to be able to bill for reimbursement and payments for services that you render out in the community. Right now, we're considered providers in the state of Louisiana. There's about 35 states that have provider status. However, there's no resolution by our Congress and our federal lawmakers to come up with a solution to reimburse us as providers. So as I mentioned before, we can provide the services, we're just not going to get paid. There's no mechanism. So that's what we're advocating for and continue to advocate for. So if there's a silver lining behind the last gloomy 5 months, and there is a silver lining, right? I hate to say COVID is not such a bad thing, but for our profession, it has truly helped us prove out how desperate they need to leverage the profession of pharmacy in the entire healthcare industry, right? Here's a silver lining from the Secretary of HHS, Alex Azar, the top dog in the Trump administration for healthcare. They provided us temporary authorizations as providers, i.e., we're doing testing and providing services in the community and now getting paid for it under this Emergency Defense Act. His quote was, "Giving pharmacists the authorization to order and administer COVID-19 tests to their patients means easier access to testing for Americans who need it. Pharmacists play a vital role in delivering convenient access to important public health services and information. Trump administration is pleased to give pharmacists the chance to play a bigger role," about time, that wasn't in there, "in the COVID-19 response, alongside all of America's heroic healthcare workers." Now, I've got a wife who's a nurse. She doesn't work in the hospitals anymore. I've got a couple brother-in-laws that are dentists. I have a brother-in-law that's an internal surgeon. I've got a brother-in-law that's an anesthesiologist, right? They got to go home for 30 days in April, close their offices, emergency care only. Did we close any Walgreens, Brooke?
Not for a minute.
No pharmacies closed. If that's not the definition of a true frontline healthcare hero, I don't know what is, right? We were still there day in and day out. Oh, am I going to get plexiglass? Are we going to wear a mask? We don't have masks. What are we doing? But we never left our pharmacies closed so that we could care for our patients. So think about that. So the future of pharmacy, right? What's going to be expected of you? I'm glad she made the right decision to come help us. In the future, it won't be a choice. That's going to be a role that's expected of you. It's going to be scary. Fear. We've never had this happen before. They're going to be depending on us to be able to still deliver healthcare services in a safe way, making sure we've got PPE available, making sure we're taking all the necessary CDC precautions, right? But we still have to show up for our community. That's going to be expected of the role. So to help lead these changes, you've got to be involved. Dean Anderson, thank you. Listed off a bunch of things that I'm involved with. People are going to ask you, do you want to be involved? I didn't go seeking this stuff the last 15, 20 years. Hey, can you be on the PMP Advisory Council? Sure. Can you do this? Sure. You know, had to ask Walgreens and my boss, hey, can I participate in this? Absolutely. That's what we do. We advocate for our profession. And then I find myself many years, later in all these different meetings and this and that, but we're forging ahead with other pharmacists from education, from independence, from hospital, and we are rewriting what our laws and regulations should look like to help protect our profession moving forward. You guys, I'm gonna retire here in hopefully 10, 15 years. I don't know how long Dean Anderson has left. Somebody's gonna have to pick up that ball and run with it. So be exciting to see which one of you in this room wants to carry that torch. So in closing, a few things. Profession is changing rapidly, but with change comes a lot of great opportunities, right? You're the profession. You're gonna be expected to play a large role in what our practice looks like here in the next 20 years. Secondly, as I mentioned before, a lot of people proud of you. They're not here, they're in the virtual world, online, right? I think back to what my parents did for me, the sacrifices they made or whatnot. So please make sure you go back and thank those who helped get you here. And then lastly, on behalf of Walgreens and our profession, I'd like to say congratulations once again. So thank you. Oh, and I forgot the most important slides. We do have a few alum up here. Of course, the old guy, and there's Brooke and her PPE and getting ready to counsel some patients on swabbing. Let's see, I can't see Alexis up there. Hit the next slide. Oh, no, go back. Oh, we're blocked up here. Can you? And there's Alexis Parham. Not sure if anybody knows Alexis, but Alexis is also one of our ULM 2020 grads. Alexis has been out there with a few of our grads from Xavier as well, really running this test site, and they've done an excellent job. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jeff. Did you turn it off?
I turned it off.
Ah, okay, well, it's all right. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Brooke. And thank you, Walgreens Company, for continuing to support this event, our students, and our college. This is the occasion when we officially welcome the incoming P1 students into the profession of pharmacy. The white coat our students will receive this morning is symbolic that they are no longer undergraduate students, but have moved into world professional education. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Jeff Evans, our director of the School of Clinical Sciences, to share the meaning of the white coat. Dr. Evans.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. I want to welcome everyone and say hello from beautiful Shreveport. One of the things that you'll get used to during your time here is seeing people from across the state. We have campuses in Shreveport, Monroe, and New Orleans. Altogether, we have about 31 pharmacists that will assist in your training and model for you what an excellent pharmacist is. We already had Jeff and Brooke up there to show you what they're doing, and you'll get to meet our faculty over your next 4 years, and you'll get to spend time with me, which you'll love more than anything else. So welcome everybody, students, friends, family, and faculty. I want to say, as I say those words, just so you know, students, 308 people are watching this broadcast throughout the state. And those are many of your friends and family that could not be there in person. So know that we support you and that they're there watching. We gather to award you guys your white coat as the class of 2024. It's been a little bit over 20 years now since I first got mine. And so I still kind of remember getting it, but I don't remember the speaker. So I will do my best to imprint upon you who the speaker was at your freshman white coat ceremony. There'll be a test in your third year to see if you remember. The white coat itself actually has a meaningful history. Surgeons started wearing it in the early 19th century, and then pharmacists began taking on the same white coats in the mid to late 1950s. The white coat serves as a symbol of healthcare professionals. The white coat makes it easy for patients to identify the healthcare professionals and provide the professional with an assumed aura of competency and authority. But with that competency and authority, it's equally important what happens to the donning of the white coat upon you. This white coat is your professional attire. Sadly, because of COVID, my white coat is in Monroe, so you'll just have to pretend that I have one on. And it helps to shape your attitude. The way you dress impacts the way that others view you. People, and most importantly, the patients that you serve, will decide your credibility, your likability, your education level, and your trustworthiness based upon the clothing you put on that morning. In fact, clothing transmits social signals and influences the relationships with patients and other healthcare professionals. Each of you will inherit the time-honored legacy to dress and act professionally at all times. Never forget that patients use appearance to judge your competency and your credibility. And if you lack those things, you will not be able to convey the needed information and care to those patients that you want to. So donning the white coat also means you take your professional responsibilities seriously. You will note on every coat the emblem of the College of Pharmacy and your name is on it. And so you represent us, you represent the profession. You respect the trust that your patients place upon you as a pharmacist as a source of accurate medical information and as an individual who has their best interests in heart and in mind. The responsibility you will hold as a pharmacist is great, and the temptations for abuse of that trust placed upon you are quite heavy. But when every time you put on that white coat, just take that as a reaffirmation of the fact that you are doing what you do for the patients and helping them to get better and to stay alive longer so they can spend time with friends and family. I leave you today with a great deal of pride and expectation. I have worked in pharmacies since I was 13 years old, 1 year before Mr. Goad became a pharmacist. And I have always wanted to be a pharmacist. I never wanted to be anything else. So over the next 4 years, your faculty and I will convey our love and respect for pharmacy that we have. And I encourage you to always wear your white coats proudly. Thank you, Dean Anderson and Dean Ray, for letting me conduct this today. And while they have technical difficulties, we need to recognize Miss Wells, who's up there now, running the show and keeping us all in line, because she is phenomenal and will be your best friend the next 4 years.
Excellent point. And thank you, Dr. Evans. Now, without further ado, the real reason we're here today, and that's for us to get our white coats. The white coat serves as a symbol of a number of medical professions, as Dr. Evans has stated. It's important, has been described in many ways. It's described as a smart coat, a symbol that instills confidence in the individuals who we serve. The students standing here today will receive a short white coat as an introduction to the profession of pharmacy. In the tradition of medicine, the short coat designates you as a novice, a learner, internalizing the knowledge and skills of pharmacy. Today, you as students are welcomed into the profession by upperclassmen and faculty who will provide mentoring, support, and guidance as you complete your journey. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Oscar Garza, our Associate Dean, our Regional Dean, I'm sorry, Dr. Garza, our Regional Dean for the New Orleans campus, and members of the class of 2023 to take their places to begin awarding the class of 2024 their student white coats.
Thank you, Dean Anderson, and greetings everyone from New Orleans. Good afternoon. After students have received their white coat, they will sign the Pledge of Professionalism as they exit the stage. So let's begin. Brandy Alvarado. Catherine Bailey. Wesley Banks. Caitlin Barker. Austin Barrios. Thomas Bell. Chelsea Bach. Brooke Bourgeois. April Bork. Jacob Boykin. Nicole Brashear. Landon Breckwell. Jamichael Bryant. Jeffrey Chamberlain. Cami Chargois. Amber DeVilliers. Lane Dishman. Jamerica Dixon. Cole Doucet. Logan Duga. Grace Ibengbolo. Abigail Edwards. Jennifer Eubanks. Kelly Floyd. Braylon Fontanet. Sydney Fontenot. Shylin Francis. Anna Marie Freeland. Morgan Getty. Jude Giardina. Sarah Gilead. Gage Gonzalez. Paul Guidry. Brooke Habit. Lonnie Hammond IV. Carly Hanks. Jamin Harris. Brandon Aber. Evan Aber. Brittany Henry. Alex Hernandez. Jasmine Holloway. Caleb Holloway. Peyton Hucol. Emily Hutchison. Mary Huval. Damascus Jacobs. Shelby Johnson. Nicole Johnson. Casey K9. Lauren Lacoste. Haley Landry. Isaac Lance. William Leday. Nicholas Lee. Amanda Longino. Jade Lyons. Alexa Madron. Grant McKnight. Caroline Moeller. D'Angelique Moore. Matthew Nugent. Faylene Nunez. Whitney Parker. Jenna Patterson. Emily Kate Perrin. Vivian Pham. Emma Pitney. Joseph Pratt. Ashlyn Richardson. Lexi Richardson. Timothy Roberts. Samuel Robichaux. Haley Robinson. Cameron Rodriguez. Randolyn Saya. Anna Santangelo. Ethan Saucier. Ashley Slasher. Mia Sims. Landon Smith. Reagan Saunier. Colin Strickland. Jordan Thomas. Christian Trahan. Bailey Turnage. Anne Marie Walters. Jerian White. Carl Willis. And Riley Willis. Congratulations, everyone.
I'm gonna go off script for just a minute, which I'm sure Mary's having a fit about right now. Dr. Garza, I want to express my gratitude, as well as Dr. Cockrum, your Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. Gratitude to Dr. Garza for taking on the role of reading your names. Dr. Cockrum tells me that there's no more difficult task during the ceremony than reading your names. Being an Ohio hillbilly like myself, I can assure you every French name I've ever tried the first time I have butchered. Right, Dr. Gooday?
Yeah, that's right.
The first time that I had the honor to do this program, I got to introduce Jeff, and it came out as Dr. Goodo. So again, Dr. Garza, thank you for doing this for us. I know that it is a task of which you practiced. And those of you who he might have butchered your name today, by all means, give him a call and tell him how to do it right, because he'll never do it wrong again. So thank you. This past week, the students have heard a lot about the word professionalism. I'd like to ask Dr. Michelle Zager, our program director for faculty development, to provide the audience the meaning of professionalism of the profession of pharmacy. Dr. Zager.
Hi. This week in boot camp, we got to spend some time, as Dean Anderson said, talking about professionalism. And first, what we did was define what it means to be in a professional program. We defined professions as occupations whose members carry 10 distinct characteristics, and that professionalism is the active display of those 10 traits. So in other words, it's not the job you do, it's how you do the job. We talked about very prolonged training and took some time to reflect on how that very prolonged time is actually going to pass a lot faster than you think. We talked about unique knowledge and skills that only pharmacists have. But this afternoon, I'd like to spend a little bit extra time talking about the two characteristics that I think are most important. And those are an ideology based on the original faith professed by the members of the profession, and the ethic that is binding upon the practitioners. You see, professionalism is the basis of pharmacy's contract with society. For years, the profession of pharmacy has been among the most respected professions in national Gallup polls. Some years we've been #1. We're usually in the top 3. This year, 2020, we dropped to #4. And the reason for that is because this is the first time the profession of engineers has ever been added to the poll for consideration. And they took spot #2 the first time out of the gate. Well, my brother is an engineer, so I had to call him and complain that he is interfering with my job. So we'll fix that next year. The profession of pharmacy has earned the trust of the public. Trust is one of those things that is not freely given. It is earned. And we have earned that by how we have done our jobs over the last hundreds of years. Certain professionals today have different standards of conduct than they did in the past. And those changes reflect the changes in ethics and values in today's society. And those changes have impacted how individuals view them. The general public now questions the ethics of some professions that they once trusted, but the profession of pharmacy has never lost that trust. Keeping that trust, however, requires continued and active display of the core beliefs and values of professionalism, or we too run the same risk of losing the trust of the public. Acting like a professional is not the same as being one, because the center of professionalism is a set of core values that includes a belief in selfless concern for the well-being of others, caring, honor, integrity, and duty. You can't act those things. You should be that way without having to think about it. Your pledge of professionalism is coming up next, and at the end of it, you will say, beginning today, we make a lifelong commitment to enhancing professionalism within the practice of pharmacy. So, I welcome you to one of America's most trusted professions, and I challenge you to be a professional. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Zager. Do I need to go to? Marcy, do I need to go to the group view again?
Isn't Dr. Dahl next?
He is. Okay, so I'll leave it here. Thank you, Dr. Zager. It's customary in the College of Pharmacy, once students have received their white coat, for them as a class to take the oath of professionalism together for the first time. Dr. Brian Donald, please lead us through that oath.
Okay, the pledge should be under your seat. Please stand and read along with me. We, the class of 2024, commit ourselves to the continued pursuit of excellence and professionalism in all our academic and professional endeavors. We hereby pledge on this day, August 14th, 2020, to conduct ourselves with integrity, both as students and practitioners, upholding and promoting ethical ideals and standards. Demonstrate compassion, empathy, and understanding for patients and colleagues under any circumstances. Aspire to demonstrate leadership through initiative and professional conduct. Maintain a high level of competence through our commitment to lifelong learning. Strive to put the needs of others before our own. Recognize our responsibilities toward our patients, peers, and community. These values are essential for providing quality healthcare services. As pharmacy students, we will uphold these values and dedicate ourselves to our profession. Beginning today, we will make a lifelong commitment to enhancing professionalism within the practice of pharmacy and the entire healthcare delivery system.
Thank you, Dr. Donald. Everyone, please help me to welcome the class of 2024. Please be seated. I'd like to thank you all for sharing in this important moment marking the class's journey to becoming pharmacists. Special thanks to Jeff, Brooke, and Walgreens for sponsoring this event. Thank you to the faculty who've helped make this event possible. And special thanks to the Office of Sponsored Programs. You love it when I do that every time, don't you? OSPA versus OSPR. The Office of Students, Professional Students and Professional Affairs. That would be Miss Mary, that'd be Katie, Miss Michelle, and Miss Latricia, who isn't here today at this moment. And special thanks to Miss Marcy. So please, a round of applause for them who put this together and made it possible. This concludes our ceremony. Everybody have an awesome weekend. It's the last weekend where you're going to actually feel like you could actually enjoy it. So take it full advantage. And we'll see you early on Monday morning, having a great time learning about pharmacy and how to be a pharmacist, all right? Thanks again for coming. Welcome. Have fun.
Y'all have got refreshments. If you don't want to eat it here, you take it with you.
Good.